we'll be recording this one just for the.
Okay, guys, we'll be recording the session. Obviously, it'll be available on YouTube, and we'll also share all of the repos that we're showing right now all across everywhere. Right. So, so a little about ourselves. Okay. Wow. Thank you. No, that's the wrong order of slides. Just a second. I think I pressed the wrong forward button. Yeah. So we come from Talentica. We are a group of really talented engineers. I think in the service space, we have set us apart for being some like a very pioneer in the industry in terms of getting like some of the most interesting projects. Trust me, there are like projects that you would never see even in product-based companies. I come from a pedigree of product-based companies. And I have had some experience with React. So definitely after this, if you're not from Talentica, feel free to reach out to HR or me or Farhan, and we'll definitely refer you. And we're always looking for good folks in JS. And a little about myself, as I said, I've been working for about 3 years. I'm a senior software developer here at Talentica, and I work on everything JS. So I think Farhan can now give an introduction of himself, and we can move forward.
Yeah. So like I recently joined Talentica like 1 year before, around 1 year before. And so I do work here as a full stack developer. So sometimes I work in front end and sometimes I work in back end. But currently my focus on like JavaScript framework. So like I'm working on React and like Redux. Like Herman said, so I'm also working on some alt stuff. Okay. Those Redux and all. Okay. Well, that's great. We can start now.
Yeah, so our goal is mostly to push Remix everywhere because Remix is pretty cool. You guys will realize. So I'll just take like a 5 minutes, very small background on like what these things are. You might have heard about these things a lot. Static site generation, what we say, server side generation, and SSR, server side rendering. All of these are very old terms. SSR was back in the PHP days, when PHP was a lot famous. So it's very good in a lot of ways. It is very friendly in terms of anything that has to do with friendliness to what we say crawlers and stuff like that Google usually uses. And that's one of the defects of React in general, because React just gives a bundled package of JS, and Google crawlers don't run JS. Okay, so it's very hard to find out pages and actually rank yourself better. So that's why I mentioned the pros, as you can see for server side rendering, where the pages are rendered on the server side. Social media friendliness is obviously a good thing because you can include meta tags very easily. And if you have ever seen when you go to WhatsApp and you share something pop up, those are meta tag magic. SEO friendliness and first contentful page. This is a technical term for the very first thing that you see on the screen. The fastest very first thing you see on the screen was used to be using server side rendering. Okay, no, I don't know what happened there. Okay, so okay, I have no clue what's going on there. Okay. Chalo. And up-to-date content, because obviously it's server-side rendered, you never have stale contents. There's no problem of cache invalidation and things like that. The issues that come is scaling when you talk about intensive loads, and when you talk about the project becoming larger and larger, it's very difficult to continue moving that way. I see a comment. You guys can ask questions here. Yeah, obviously you can ask questions as much as you like. Okay. And there are few other defects of server-side rendering. We moved completely out of server-side rendering in the upcoming years, and then we actually proceeded to something called let's go in the real order. Client-side rendering. This is something we all know, right? React is client-side rendering. You actually get a JS package in React that actually comes to the client, and then the whole rendering of the page happens right in the browser. The problem is, first is very responsive pages. If you have ever used something like Netflix, you already know how fast it is. It's ridiculously fast, right? It looks like a native app, but there are some problems, and there are like ease to do a lot of things. Like there are bundlers like Webpack, which makes life very easy. And there are a lot of advantages, but again, the problem there is obviously SEO friendliness. It's not good. So Google recently updated their ranking algorithm in 2020 to actually include factors that check the speed of this page as part of the ranking. So not only should a lot of people like your page, the bounce rate should be less. It should also be that your page loads fast. Okay. And then there is something really fancy or like somewhat used before, static site generation, where you actually have a page which is pre-generated and which actually lies closer to the CDN, and then it's hydrated. So from the server, what hydration means is like you actually update the component from the server, and you actually re-render the whole page. There are advantages, disadvantages. So if you look at SSG in the way Next implements it, that is the fastest way to get your page. Like the fastest packet comes to you using this. But the thing with Next is it's not really the best solution when it comes to like, you know, developer friendliness and like, you know, development in general. It's far more easier to develop in Remix, and that's why people came up with the solution of Remix, right? So let's skip all of this. Let's actually come to the topic on the question. As I said, I just wanted to give you a short introduction. Remix. What is Remix? One liner of Remix. It's a runtime for React. Okay, it's a server-side runtime for React that actually combines all of your Node code, which is your backend, plus React into a single, very usable, very user-friendly package that lets you work on it at lightning speed. I'm not even kidding. Like you can literally make your blog page, except for all of the time that requires for CSS, within hours, right? Like you can build pages in hours. It's crazy fast, right? And another thing that it actually has is, so if you remember this is again a thing, you guys might have seen it. Using React Router, you have to mention all of the routes and you have to specify all of the routes, and this is just boilerplate. Think about it, right? Why do I have to focus on this? Why do I have to write router/router and write all of the routes? It's cumbersome, right? So Remix manages this with their own package system. Something like Gatsby does similar things, right? Where however you have managed your folders is how your routes automatically get configured, and it's very easy to access the route parameters as well, which will be covered. Okay. So exactly. So Remix is, so this is the thing about web development, and you will see this trend everywhere, right? We take 2 steps backwards and we take 5 steps, 2 steps in front and 5 steps backwards, right? So what actually happened is, the old time PHP, we used to have all of the code together, the backend code, the front end code, and we used to use web APIs. So if you look at the Chrome engine has the whole, event loop, has the stack, and there's something called the web API. Web API is where you actually have all of the fetch and all of the Axios, and all of the wrappers are just wrappers on top of the web API, which is fetch. Okay. Now we are using the web API. Okay. You should remember, and people have forgotten this, forms do submit data. You don't really need to maintain a use state, or like if you're using something like components, you don't need to have a constructor with a state to maintain all of this. Your web API does this by default. So why not leverage this? And that's what Remix leverages. Okay. So here is a small example of a code of how different Remix looks in comparison to something like normal React. Okay. This is something you guys have seen a lot. Most probably, if you're a developer, you've seen this. You see this use state for errors. You see this use state so that you can update the API, and then you have a use effect to fetch the data. Why? Every time you build a site, you have to do this. It's not dry. It's not dry at all, right? We all talk about dry, don't repeat yourself. And we write all of this boilerplate code again and again. In Remix, you just write something called use loader. That's it. It's just a single hook. It manages everything. You don't have to write a single use effect. You don't have to write anything in JS. You just write use loader, which is a hook, which just gives you data from the backend. And you can write the backend above that. Like, it's very clean. It's very, very clean, and we'll actually get into it. Okay? So here is the dev setup. You guys will require, if you want to play around with this, you actually require Node of 14 or greater, preferably 16, because there are some optimizations that happen in 16, which is good. NPM 7 or greater. I use Yarn, so you can use Yarn as well. No issues. Okay. Now, yes. So let's go through the initial setup. No, this guy. Okay, so let's go through the initial setup. You can actually run this command right now. I'm going to put this in chat. This will actually set up your whole. This will start a new remix altogether. It'll start a new remix. Start a new remix project for you. A lot of people ask questions like, okay, why is it not just okay? I mean, I'm assuming you guys know NPX, right? NPX just gets all of the packages and runs a few commands as well. It's a run version of like NPM, to be very honest, right? So yes, you can just do NPX remix, but sometimes it does not fetch the latest version. That's why you have something called NPX create remix at latest. It just picks up the latest packages, right? So and then once you do this, I'll actually start, like, let's do this live, right? No, don't leave meeting. That would be sad. So I'll actually create a new folder, remix demo. Yeah. right? So Remix demo, and yeah, don't judge me for using Windows. I have client requirement to use Windows, so I use Windows, but my Windows is cool. See, like my terminal is cool. You know, I'm a good programmer because my terminal is pretty cool, right? So I will just dump the same command, and let's actually start a new project in Remix. Okay. So you can just, it says Remix, it has those cool logos, and it'll actually ask you if you want to just create an app called My Remix app. You can just say yes. And by default, there's something called the Remix app server. You can easily change this. These are the examples of the servers you can use in the backend. Okay. You can use an Express server of your own, or you can use something like Netlify, which is very popular, or Vasai. And like there are like a lot of options with Remix compatibility, but I would like you to just go ahead with what we say, just using the Remix app server. But defaults will work all the time. And TypeScript, obviously, TypeScript. Just use TypeScript, okay? Because I've not come on the TypeScript train. I will be doing a lot of TypeScript today, but I will always comment TypeScript on top so that you guys don't have to worry about types at all. Okay? If you guys don't understand TypeScript, whenever I put a comment saying this is TypeScript, just ignore that, right? So that should be like not a problem at all. So let's actually move a little forward in the PPT, and while we wait for the installation to happen, so that I can actually explain what's going on. Yeah, I don't know why it starts with a bigger. Very good. Okay. So the moment you open your repository, you will see something like this. Okay. You'll see your whole directory. There's a app they have by default, and it actually is a good app. So if you just want to learn Remix, I will say just do npx latest Remix install, press enter, and just run through the code. Just read through the code. Right, you can understand most of the interesting things. I've actually wrapped it into a good simple demo. Okay, but let me just go through all of these so-called packages. Okay, let's just ignore things in route. Just assume that these are things which are normal, like normal React router. You can write any folder structure here. So for example, which will come at when we come to the routes part. If you create a routes/blog, it'll actually create a new route at blog. Okay, and then when you go to HTTP or localhost 3000 and you go to /blogs, okay, it'll just open whatever page you have in index.tsx here, or index.jsx if you're using JavaScript, right? Okay, so that's the routing. We'll go into more details on that, but let's look at the basic packages. Okay, one is there's something called entry client.tsx, there is entry server.tsx, there's root tsx, and you can ignore styles also. These are some things that we will actually do on our own. You don't need to worry about this. Everyone knows what's a package.json. It has all of your dependencies wrapped together. There is a Remix config. This is similar to the Webpack config. It actually tells you what we say, where Remix will find the folder structure and how to find routes and stuff like that. Okay. So let's go to these three things, which are very important. So entry client will actually be the client side code that we actually talk about all types of client related things in Remix, right? So this is the code. I'll actually open the code as soon as the installation is done. So I'll actually go through the code to explain, but this is the one that's run on the client side. This is the one that actually takes your request whenever you're sending a request to the server, the Remix app server, and actually handles that. And root tsx is nothing but your root file, which is the root HTML that you usually have in in public if you actually use create React app, the basic HTML. Right? So, yeah, no, I don't want to keep all of these annotations. So actually, yes, we are ready. So I will go to ls, and yeah, okay, it's called Y because like a genius, I press Y. So the project is called Y. Okay. So let's actually run the dev server. So the way to run the dev server is you actually type command. One second. Let me just, yeah, it's npm or yarn or whatever you use, npm run dev. Okay. Okay, this would actually start up the dev server. It will actually build all of your Remix app, and apparently there's already a Remix app running, and I'm not surprised because I was running a Remix app. Okay, so let's run that again, and you would actually get the Remix app started at 3000 code. Okay, so let's open this app. This is something that they have already created for us. It's pretty fancy, and there's a lot of interesting things here. Okay, so let's just open localhost 3000 and let's open VS Code. Okay, so you can actually go to each of their pages, which is their tutorial pages and stuff like that, just to like check what is going on. But what we will do for the sake of this demo is actually open it in VS Code and actually go through the code and try to understand as much as we can. Okay, there's a lot to cover, but then it's relatively simple if you have actually ever used. Okay, so this is what I mean by the entry file. Okay, in entry, they have devised their own component called Remix browser. Okay, Remix browser is their own component which actually rehydrates or hydrates the page that is sent. So you should understand a page is sent to you, and then the page is hydrated from the backend. Right? Means if there's any update, the backend actually hydrates the page for any changes. Entry.server obviously is a server that actually handles any of your any of the requests that you send to the server. And root, as always, is just a normal HTML file. You know what? You don't need any of this, to be honest. Okay, so let's actually dump all of this. Okay, so it's because we are building our own app. So yeah, if you guys are wondering what I'm using, I use Vim because Vim is cool and you guys should learn Vim. Okay, but you can use whatever you like in terms of editing. So again, I'm using Emmet for shortcuts because Emmet is cool as well, right? So I've created this document template. I will also be opening my reference code, which I actually did the whole, prepared for the whole demo, so that I don't do something really stupid, right? So there are a few things that I would actually like. First is obviously this is not being returned by a function. So let's just take a function, which is the app function, and use this because it makes more sense. And I'm stupid enough to actually just make an HTML file. This is a JSX file. Obviously, it should return JSX. Okay. So this is cool. We'll remove all of these things which are advanced concepts which we will come across. Okay. The only thing you need to add here as a dependency, if you look at it, is the live reload. So it is from import. It's called live reload, and it's from Remix. Okay. What live reload does is, if you are in development mode, you should understand that a server is actually monitoring all of your files, building it almost immediately, and then rerunning everything, right? So that's why live reload is what you use. So for example, in process environment, node environment is development, I just use live reload. Otherwise it's null because I just want Remix to give me the pages normally when the build occurs. Okay. And yeah, obviously, finally, I was for a second worried that it will break, but no, it's not. Okay. So this is a test. This is like a normal HTML page. This is like any HTML page you see everywhere running about, right? So now let's come to route, which is interesting, right? So we want to know about route. So route index is the index that actually runs whenever you go to route in general, right? So the thing about Remix is if you want something in the parent to run, so you should understand in the app it first goes to route. Okay, route.tsx. So if you want router to run and the index.tsx to actually run, so you actually have to embed all of that code here. So to do that, you actually use another function, take another helper function, and I have already mentioned it here. It's called outlet. Okay. So let's go to route and actually get outlet. So you understand what outlet is supposed to be. Outlet means ki, bhai, whatever is in the file structure inside me, my child, please render it. Okay. So I want to render outlet, and obviously I have not imported outlet, okay, because of the genius that I am. I do a lot of self-deprecating humor on myself, so please ignore me insulting myself. That's like pretty normal, right? Okay. So I have outlet in. Okay. Now as you can see, okay, let's just go to index.tsx. Let's remove all of this, and let's just say, okay, let's remove all of this. This is just what Remix automatically gives you. Let's just say, hi, I'm children. I am a child. And guess what? When I go to the base route, whatever I wrote in test, hi, I am a test, has shown up. And because I mentioned an outlet there, whatever the child is got rendered. Does that make sense? Like that's how routing works. It's very fascinating. It's actually, you don't need to mention anything like React router or mention specific routes. It's ridiculously easy. Right. So I don't know if you guys are understanding this, but then what is happening here is because that's the reason I mentioned this test line. So this test line remains the way it is. An outlet injects whatever is there in route. And this pattern is repeated all throughout. Okay. So let's remove this because we don't really want anything in our, we usually don't write any HTML code in our route. Like you don't write anything in your HTML code in the public folder when you write npx create react app. You get a public folder with a something like HTML, I think it's called index.html, right? You don't really write anything like that. So let's just keep that in the outlet, right? So here is the outlet, and this is what is getting printed out in the outlet. So let's do something interesting. Let's say ki I am the almighty, I am the almighty, and yes, I have got the spelling wrong. Yeah, almighty index. Okay, so this is the index of your app because it's inside a route. Now, how difficult is it to usually create another route like blogs? I want to create a route called blogs. It could be ridiculously hard. Like it's a lot of work in any other this, but then here I just write blogs, and that's about it. Okay, and then I can write an index in that, and I can say index.tsx. Ah, yes, index.ts. Yes, I am writing very genius code. Okay, so export default, okay, function, and let's have a function called blogs. Okay, let's have a function called blogs, and that blogs function will say what everyone already knows. Okay, this is Rahul's blog, and he is stupid. So you guys have ever seen, movies like, yeah. So when I go to base route, I don't see anything. But if, for example, I go to blogs, wait, 1 second. Nothing was rendered from blogs. Missing. Yeah, genius. Thank you. Okay. I forgot to mention another thing. We actually did not write a blogs below blogs.tsx. Okay. Now this would solve the problem. Okay. I did not mention an outlet, which is stupid of me. Okay. So export default function, and actually the reason this is not even rendering is not because I've not mentioned that. I will come to that, is because, as I said, no, I am definitely the most stupid person out here. Okay? So you guys, I'm pretty sure will become remix faster than me, because as I said, right, like I do the most dumbest mistake. So yeah, now it should work. And Remix is very nice with its error messages also. Like it said key, your blog did not return anything. So think about this. I just created a new route and it was just a file. Okay, now assume, okay, next level should, right? So let's actually make this a little more professional, right? A little more professional. And let's put a div here and remove this and get another div here. Right? Yeah, man. Fragment. Oh my fragment. Okay. So let's put a div here. And what happened? Why are you crying there? Yeah, I've mentioned div and slash div twice. Okay. So I don't know why it's crying for me. What does it say? Div has no corresponding closing tag. Yes, I know. Okay. So let's also make a span or like a div which says key these are some stupid ideas he has. Okay. So yeah, so this is perfect. But see, there is one thing here. So what if you actually wanted this is Rahul's blog to be displayed on any subroute? Okay, so like my question is, so assume like I create a new nested route. Okay, and let's call it blogs new. Okay, .tsx. Okay, and in this new tsx, yes, it's right. Okay, export default. I should make a shortcut for this. Okay, function, and we call it new .tsx. We can name it anything. It doesn't really care. Okay, and yeah, what happened? Why are you crying? Yep, I know. Okay, and let's return. Okay, ignore the warnings, guys. It's just TypeScript being TypeScript. Okay, yeah, export function new page. Okay, and let's return something. Okay, let's return something like, let's make a form actually. You know what? Let's make a form. So let's make a form, or let's first make a div so that it can contain the form. Okay, let's make a div that can contain the form, and then let's make a form. Yeah, form. This is a normal HTML form, right? This is like any HTML form you see. Just for the brevity and the sake of my limited time, I'm going to just take the form that I've already made, because you guys, I'll walk you through obviously. Okay, so new.tsx, I already have a form here. All of this is just crap. It's okay. We will actually be removing all of it. We'll remove all of the variables, and we'll just keep the form. Beautiful, beautiful form. Okay. So let's do this, and it'll throw all kinds of warnings because it's part of the things that I'm gonna show you. Okay. So this is all okay. Let's remove all of this, and yeah, let's remove weird string concatenations that I have. I'll show you what the whole file looks like. Don't worry, guys. Okay. And yeah, alert is not needed. Okay. And default values. Okay. I see a few comments. Is there any doubts? It's very similar. It's very, very similar to React. It's literally the React syntax. There's no difference. It's React running with Node. That's about it. Okay. So here is a form. It's a simple form with a post. Okay. And I have two inputs, text, which is name, and another text area, which is content. Okay. Cool. So let's go to that page. Then let's go to that new page. So all I do is blogs/new. And voila. Again, this is like, think about this. It's like ridiculously easy to do, right? And now that we know, like, we can create nested routes just by mentioning new file names. Okay. There is something which is sad. Okay. I would like to show whatever shows in blogs in all of the internal parts also. I would like every page to know this is Rahul's stupid blog, right? So what we can do is, so let's do what we usually do, right? If you remember, if you take routes, you actually mention routes, and you mention some JSX above route. Okay. So that it's displayed on every route. So routes would be a small part, and this would actually be the encompassing component. So let's take this H2 from here. Okay. And actually drop it elsewhere, because I don't want it here. Okay. I don't want it here. So what you can do is, so in any parent folder, okay, you can mention the same file name. Okay. .tsx. Okay. And this, inside this, like we did for route, we actually just mention outlet. Okay. So let's do that. So function export default function. And if anyone wants references of whatever I'm writing, I've obviously mentioned it. We can. Okay, one second. Okay, I think some people can, people who have questions, I will actually answer them once we come to the end of my session. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So export default function. Okay, let's call it something. Let's call it blog wrapper. Okay, blog wrapper, and let's mention the genius line, which is ever so true. Okay, which is ever so true. Okay, and that is true. So let's also use fragments now that we don't want a div wrapping this. Okay, and okay, let's push this out. Let's remove this. And what we want is, we want each of the routes under the thing called blog to have this header, or like have this H2. So all I mentioned is outlet. Okay. And with that, yes, obviously, man. So not only do blogs have it now, when I go to new, it has it as well. Why? Because what's actually happening here is, route is actually calling the folder structure's same name, called route.tsx. But where is that? Blog.tsx. Yeah, it's calling blog.tsx. And then inside, it's rendering both these things, which is rendered through outlet. So I think now it must be a little more clear what outlet does. So blog has this outlet, and the outlet is rendering whatever I'm sending here in the subroutes. Okay. So I think router, to some degree, people have understood, like in terms of how routing works in this new form of Remix, right? Okay. So now that router is done, let's go back to the slides and let me actually check what is to be done or like what is to be discussed, because I will keep forgetting otherwise. Yeah. So there's another thing. That's why I wanted to go to the slides. What if you want variable parameters? So you guys might have seen in like things like normal REST routes, you have things like blog/blog ID. How would you get blog ID, which is usually mentioned, what we say in React router, which is very common to actually put a colon. So this is how you usually would mention in React router. You would put a colon and blog ID. You can do that in the full structure, folder structure as well. So to mention a blog ID, it's actually ridiculously. Okay. There are ways to do private routes. Actually, Farhan actually messaged it in private, if I'm not wrong. Farhan, you can put it in public, the answer that you mentioned. It's possible. Actually, Farhan will be covering that in a little more depth when you come to the authentication part and stuff like that, right? This is basic routing, very basic routing. Okay. Yeah. So I think Yogesh, your question might have been answered. You can do whatever. So this is actually running React Router v6 in the background. It just exposes really nice APIs for us to work with. So again, let's go back to blog and let's create a new file such that I want to get whatever blog ID has been presented. So let's say that and blog ID. Okay. .tsx and yes. You mortal enemy. Wait, where is the email? Yeah. Okay. I actually usually work on not even VS Code, but then I didn't want to expose you guys to complete Vim setup. That would like really jolly up some people. So default export default. Yeah. Export default function and something like what is this called? Get blog ID, get blog, whatever. I don't really care. Okay. Okay. So here we can have some template text for now. Okay. We can have some template text for now, which is, and there are ways to actually programmatically mention routes as well. Obviously, my God, why do I not return an expression and an object is beyond me. Okay. But then there are ways to programmatically, oh my God, to return routes as well. I will cover that after this. Again, for brevity of time, I will try my best to cover it, but then let's see. Okay? You can actually do it. So you don't have to use this folder structure if you find it cumbersome. But then I find it really nice because it organizes your code very well, right? Because you know where the code is and you know where exactly in the hierarchy it lies. You don't need to keep referring back to something like the router which you have configured to check what route it is, which is always a pain. Trust me, I work in big projects and this is a big pain. Okay? This is one blog and we will get the ID later from the route. Rahul is too lazy and forgot. To build it, obviously. Okay. So now, if in blogs I mention some ID, see, any ID I mention, it's a catch-all. Okay. It's just like the colon blog ID that you would use in normal React router. Okay. So I think I have some comments. Let's see if there's something. Yeah. Okay. So this is like using blog ID any normal way. I mean, you would usually use ID. Just mention a colon instead. In file structure, you mention a $sign. Okay. And that's about it when it comes to route. So here is a small thing of like how you would mention routes. There are ways to optimize this, have it in an object and like use a map to render it, but it's still very cumbersome, right? This is far more cleaner. Like, you know exactly, if you look at the structure, you know exactly that there is a post, okay, or blog. No, this is not the same one. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there's a blog. There is a blog ID. There is index and new. You don't really need to look at the structure at all, and you know where the code is. You just go and click at the code, right? It's far more optimized. Now let's come to CSS. CSS is another stressful point for a lot of people. Okay, so how do you include CSS? Forget about the days of JS, CSS and JS. You don't need to do that anymore. Okay, CSS and JS was introduced in React God knows when. Okay, I think it was in 2018, 2019, 18 or 17. When the first discussion came up, because the whole problem with React is you put some CSS, there's cascading issues. Okay, CSS gets applied all over. This is not the case with Remix. Remix will remove the CSS as soon as you're off that page. So Remix will dynamically cache all of your CSS, which will make your pages ridiculously fast. Okay, because your browser caches your CSS anyway, and these are small CSS files which are individual, right? So how you actually mention CSS is you can actually just create a file called styles, folder called styles. Okay, folder. Okay, you can create a folder called styles, and you can just be your heart at it. Just use normal CSS. So what I recommend with Remix is something like some CSS library like Tailwind, which actually allows you to give back a link, and that's like the best combination when it comes to working with Remix. Okay, so let's go into styles and let's actually put some styles, right? Let's put some styles like index style.css. Okay, and let's just do background color, which is my favorite property. Just a second, guys. Just give me 1 second. So sorry, guys. I just have one delivery coming. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry I had to get that delivery. I'm back. Okay. Some unfortunate events of living alone in COVID. Okay. So yeah. So as I was saying, index.style. So let's do the favorite thing that I always do in almost everything CSS, background color. Okay, my God, what craziness, right? I've not really slept. What was I doing? I don't know. Okay, so background color. I have done so much JavaScript in CSS and JS that I forgot how to write CSS. Think about that, right? This is the turning point of all of that, right? So once you do this, once you actually put a style, okay, you import that style wherever you want, right? So let's go to the index. I would like to have it on the index file, right? Which is the almighty index page. I would like to have a red background. Okay, so let's go back to the slides and actually see how it's there, the API itself. Okay, the contract that is there for this. Okay, so as I mentioned something called index.css. I used some other sites in this case. Okay, and this is the function that Remix provides us. There is something called links function. Okay, so links function allows you to import any static asset or any asset per se that you would usually import using links. So if you guys remember this old format of using links, you would use in your head. I don't know if you guys remember this. Obviously, you guys remember this. You're all developers, right? Use link and then default href is equal to, or the relation is equal to style sheet and stuff like that. Remix has a different API exposed for it, which is that API that I just showed you. Okay. For the sake of brevity, I will actually just take the code from here. So I will obviously go through this code. Okay. And put it right here, and then we'll move back to that code base because we will not have the time to set up DB and stuff like that, but I can show you can actually work with anything. Okay, so let's actually get the right styles imported. So we have something called, what is it called? Styles no, it's called inside styles, it's called index styles.css. Let's just name it index. Why did I call it index style.css? Okay, so styles.css. Okay, and let's just import this index. Okay, index.css. Okay, so look at this. This is the same thing. Relation style sheet, href, your style URL. Used to do this like in the olden days of CSS, right? Okay, you can ignore this. This is just type. This is TypeScript weirdness. Wherever I mention a comment saying this TypeScript weirdness, this TypeScript weirdness, even if you ignore this, it will still work. This TypeScript will start screaming why and cry. Okay, that's the only reason I've included it. So assuming I've done this now, shouldn't I get styles? Okay, let's go to the almighty path, which is the route. Okay, styles should not get applied because there's one missing link now, and it's called link, surprisingly. So the second thing you have to do is you have to go to your route. Okay, because if you remember, you actually put all of your style sheets in the head. Okay, so you actually have to tell Remix that, yeah, whatever style I imported there, you need to put that in the head. Okay, so let's go to route. Okay, import link. Import link. Okay, import link and mention it here. Why fragment? Why do you always auto append? Okay. Yeah. Okay. What did I screw up? What did I screw up now? Links. It's called links, obviously, not link. Yeah, links, because it is multiple links that how many ever you choose to import. Okay. So let's refresh this page. Okay. Now here is my question, right? Yeah, it's links. Sorry. Okay. So what would happen if I go to blogs now? Will I still see this background? Does anyone know? So if I go to blogs now, I'm on the base route. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, right? I'm on the base route. What if I go to blogs? Yeah, is it blog? Yeah, mention blog. Styles don't get applied. The styles are specific to your page. If you want to include global styles, you can do that also, but you should do it on the route. Okay. This makes life so much easier. So you can have all of your base styles on route, and if you wanted some custom styles for one page, you can put that styles there. And because of how Remix works, it would put this new link below the base link which was generated by route. And because of this whole logic, and because of how cascading works, because the precedence of this link is lower, those styles will have precedence. So you'll never have cascading style issues, like, which is a major issue of why Java-based components were made in the first place. Like JavaScript-based styling components were based, because we wanted to somehow scope it to pages, right? So let's also include some global styles, because why not? Yeah. Yeah, global.css. And I know, guys, I'm very lazy. Okay? I'm not a designer, so I'm just gonna use some global styles which are very similar in this light blue. Okay, light GHT blue. Yeah. Now that I put background light blue, and now I do the same import that I did here in index. Okay, but I do that same logic. Okay, I do the same logic, but in my route. My route, again, I go ahead and yes, I would like link functions to come here as well, please. Again, links functions to come here as well, and not index.style. I have this thing called global.style. Globals, is it called globals? Nah, it's called global. My autocorrect is weird as hell. Yeah, and yes, come on. Style sheet, well, global.css. I cannot find it. Rename. What is going on here? Rename. Okay, body, background color. That's all right. Okay. Yep. Copy that. Yes, is it on the base route? Yes, it's on the base route, and dot slash. No, dot slash. Yay, there it is. Okay. So see, now all of the pages have the blue style. If I mention some thing that is catch-all, or if I mention the new one, it all has this new blue fancy global style that I've mentioned. Okay. But when I go to the route path, something very nice happens. It's red because that's what it does. It's caching CSS per page, which makes life hell lot of easier, right? For a lot of reasons, right? And because of the ordering of the style sheets, your styles that you want to matter would actually come with a higher response, right? Yeah. So here is some DB setup steps which I'm gonna skip because you can actually go to the Remix documentation and go through the DB setup steps. They are actually to set up the DB. I want to show what's interesting about Remix. I don't want to go into complexity details of using a DB because that's out of scope. But if you are wondering, I'm using Prisma. Prisma is an ORM used for any JavaScript project. It's amazing. Okay, you should all be using Prisma. But then if you don't, if you use like a RESTful API, it works with a RESTful API. I'll show you examples of it working with a RESTful API. And I'm using a local DB, which is part of the operating system itself. I'm not like running a DB elsewhere. Okay, so let's close this project. Let's go to the one where I have already done all of the rudimentary DB setup, right? Because then I can leverage some power of, I can leverage the power of using DB and using persistent data, which is obviously awesome because I want to do something interesting. I want to do some interesting thing. Okay. So if you look at this project, it's very similar to the project I was showing you guys right now. Okay. Yeah, close on. Okay. So this is similar to the project that I was showing you right now. Okay. It's very, very similar. So let's go through each individual action, right? So on index, okay, on this index, I would like to display a lot of web pages, right? I would like to display whatever blogs I have written, whatever stupid blogs I have written, right? So let's first start Remix here. Okay, let's first start Remix here. So I will open my terminal. If you guys were wondering, this is called Oh My Posh, the terminal extension I'm using to make the terminal look nice with a heart. It's really nice. You guys should use it if you are using Windows. Otherwise, obviously, you are using Oh My Gosh, I'm assuming. Okay, npm run that. Okay, so let's open it on 3000. The almighty page. Okay, and let's go to blog. It's not called blog. What is it called? Let's see. So this is very easy. Like, so in a normal situation, I would have to actually go to the route and check. I don't need to do that here. I just need to look at the file structure. Okay, it's posts. Okay. So as you guys can see, there are posts that's coming from DB. Now let's see how that works in Remix. No more use effect, no more Axios. I mean, you can still use Axios if you have REST APIs, but no more use effects, no more set states, just clean code. Okay. So let me show you the code from the beginning. This is just a type definition. So if you don't know TypeScript, you can ignore this. Okay. Same. I've just mentioned few type definitions. And here is the logic. Okay. So there are two things in Remix when it comes to getting data from server: loaders and use loader hook. So loader is a function that is returned. Okay. So anything you write outside this export default function actually runs on the server. So this is a full stack. You're a full stack developer if you're working on Remix, technically, right? So because you are actually doing full stack development, right? So the loader is nothing but a function, and this is just a function type. It's an async function that returns data. And whatever data you return from there, you can actually access using use loader. That's simple. That's it. To render dynamic data, you don't need to do anything else. Okay. So in this case, I am, again, this is TypeScript stupidness. Okay. I'm doing await.db.post.findDB. I'm just going to my local DB and I'm taking 5 top posts. Okay. And I'm ordering it by descending order. Okay. And I'm selecting ID and name. Why this is so awesome? Okay. Have you ever faced this issue where you had these, backend developers who would give you this big ass API, right, which has so much content which you don't need to render, and it's sent to the client on every request? It's a pain in the head, and it makes the client's code slower. And you say, please, yaar, isko fix kar. It's like, client has told me this, you cannot fix it. No more problems like that. Okay. So in this case, I'm using Prisma to actually get db.post, and I'm doing select only for these elements. But assume this is not the case. Okay. Assume you work on a REST API. Okay. So let's just comment this out. Actually, I have a REST API example as well. Okay. Assume you're working on a REST API. So here is the REST API. If you guys don't believe me, it's actually a REST API that's running right now. It would actually give you results. Okay. And if you see here, I'm calling the REST API internally through Express, through the Remix server. Okay? And then I'm doing a simple response.map, and I'm only sending ID and username to the customer, because I only need to render ID so that I can link to a page, and then the name of the post which comes. And those are the only two things I need. Okay? So why the hell should I send all of the data downstream? If you look at this post, it actually gives you more data than required. It also gives you the content. Assume this content was kilobytes and kilobytes of content, right? Your whole pipeline has slowed down because your backend developer was too late. Okay, to do a normal filter. So you don't even need to use things like GraphQL necessarily, right? You can still work with this. And assuming your server is running on the same server where your other interactions are, these are very quick APIs, right? These are just, or you can have an RPC call here for that matter, right? So it's ridiculously good when it comes to this. I'm using Axios here, and if you guys don't believe it does actually show the output, obviously. Okay, 1 second. What happened, guys? Yahan pe ruk jao. Let me return post. I had tested this. Okay, post list.map. Am I not returning post list? Yeah. Guys, can you guys go on mute? I think someone is not on mute. It would be really appreciated if you guys go on mute here. Guys. Okay, I'll have to mute all of you guys personally. Very, very bad, yes, sir. Okay, 1 second, guys. I will have to put all of you on mute all, just for the sake of not having people bleeding in. I don't know how you press unmute on your devices, but then take it. No issues. So as I was mentioning, you can actually get this data now using the use loader hook, okay, which actually gives you the data. Yes, array.string, API response is right. Okay, your API is getting called. All of that is happening. And let's go to post. Okay, response.map, data.map is not a function. Why is that not a function? Okay, so 1 second. Response, await, data is not there. Or is it not coming in data? I think it's coming in data. Let me just check my API contract, guys. Okay, it is coming in data. And yeah, I think doing this example, I've done something wrong somewhere. But then you guys understand that even making an API call would be exactly the same, right? Internally, I'm using a DB. You can not only do this, not that anyone would actually do this. You can actually just return a normal array also, right? Like just return a normal array with like some data, and it would still work. Yeah, it would still work because it would say, my name is Khan, and then we don't talk anymore. My favorite song, and it would actually, whatever function runs here in the loader function actually is returned back here as data. And that's what you use to actually render the post. So, and that's about it when it comes to rendering dynamic data. One last thing that is remaining is forms. So let's just go through forms also, because what if you want to create a new post, right? So let's comment out this old code and let's take the local DB in question. So the local DB is right here. Okay. Yeah, local DB is right here. Okay. So the local DB, and local DB has these n number of functions, XYZ, XYZ. Let's go to this thing called new post, right? So new post is where I want to make a new post. Okay. So you can ignore all of this code, which I've just added to give some flair. Okay. But then assume you want to do an action. So there are two things. One is obviously, as you saw, loader and use loader, which would actually get data from some APIs and things like that. But what if you want to get data from form, which you submit to the server, right? So let's go to form. Okay. Form is new, I think. Yeah. So here is our form. Okay. Now, people who know the web API and how the web API is designed, a form, if you mention a method as post, would just normally submit to an action. So you don't need to mention an action here because Remix understands it's trying to communicate to the server itself, right? So this is an action, right? Because usually you would say method and action is equal to whatever route you want to send the action to. Here, Remix would intercept that action and you can actually play around with that action. So this is a simple input. I have by the way, right now I've not enabled any JavaScript. There's no JavaScript code here at all. It's still working. It'll still work semi-functionally, right? It'll work like pretty normally, like any other form would. So you have this thing called actions. Now actions are another thing you can return from the server. Okay. So again, this is just the type of the action and it's an async request. Okay. So then I say await form data. Now request.form data is literally web API. It's not even something that Remix has. You can actually go to request and do request.form data and it would give the form data. So if you mention names here, like name is equal to name and the field is equal to content, you can just get it. No need to write use state. No need to write use state and have a state and then have a use effect so that whenever someone types or an on click, whenever someone types, you want to update that and then push to the DB. It's just one literal function which you write right above. Okay, that code that literally manages all of your backend code. Okay, so here all I'm saying is from form I want to get name, from form I also want to get content. Okay, I want to check if they are right or not, or otherwise say if form was not submitted properly, you were playing around with the wrong form. Okay, you can ignore this for now. So and then I do constant post is equal to await. This is my DB abstraction, which is Prisma, and create a new post. Okay, and just redirect to post and the post ID. Okay, I'm not showing you the post ID logic of how to get params, but I'm just redirecting it to post ID and without a JavaScript. Okay, this does not have any JavaScript. I mentioned something here to lazy type, and if I press add, it's a new post now. And if I go back to my posts page, I have this new post. Okay, this is literally so much of code cut down. If you think about it, okay, no use effect, no use state, no what do you say, no using your own hooks to manage weird state inconsistency. It's all very simple in that context. Okay, so I'm right about done with whatever I had to say. So whatever you see apart from this, so you can actually get data back from forms, just like you can use loader, which loads data. You can actually use something in use action data to actually get data back from from the request. So assume you had to give validations also. You can actually have validation. So here I have mentioned two functions, okay, which give back if I length is less than 2 or the post content is not appropriate, it gets too small, then give me back a error object. Okay, and based on that error object, I'm just rendering some alerts. Okay, and all I need to do that. Again, no use state again, a single hook, which gets all of the action data clustered together. So now when I go to new, okay, and I mention something like 3 and submit it, it says, oh Rahul, you're so stupid, man. How can a post have less than 2 letters? Yeah. So yeah, you can even do custom validations using other validation libraries and stuff like that. Now it says ki, this is not a valid post, too small. But then if I add all of those in, it would submit. And again, there's no JavaScript here. You can literally try using use state here, it won't work. So there's no JavaScript, it's all web API. Okay, and it still works. You can have this styled beautifully and working completely without JavaScript loading into context at all, which is crazy fast if you think about it, right? Because a person does not have to wait for JavaScript to compile and stuff like that. So yeah, the one thing I did not talk about is parameters, which is the URL parameters. So you guys remember, right? I had actually written a route where I can mention some weird things. I know, joke not found. I know I've not written those exceptions. Error handling will be handled by Farhan. Okay, but then if I want to get a post ID, so if I go back to my posts, okay, and go to some particular post, there is this big post ID, right? How am I getting that? Like usually you use some kind of hook, use param hook or something like that you have written custom, which would actually go to location and like get the URL parameters. In this, it's again literally one line. Okay, so all you need to do is whatever loader function that you're mentioning to load it, it will always pass the parameters. So you can literally say loader function parameters parameter.blog ID, which is literally the file name that you have mentioned here. And this is just where, which is like the database where to fetch it, what to fetch. Okay, and gets me back my post. So you can have an API here, you could have an API endpoint here, it wouldn't make a difference and it would still work. So yeah, that's about all I have to say. If you guys have a few questions, definitely feel free to ask. And I think Farhan can start. I think we can have a question session at the end. Farhan should start, right? Hey, Farhan.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Rahul. Yep, we can have a question session at the end, and if anybody has like a question, we can like have it now also, and it would be great if we'll have it end of the session. Okay, so I'll start. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, just give me the confirmation if you guys can see my screen or whatever it is. Hello, anyone?
Visible, yeah, visible.
Visible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll be talking about the authentication. So one of the guy he was asking about the private routing and public routing. So basically, like I'll start from there. Like private routing is basically you have any kind of a login and something, and based on that you will identify user, and based on that you will give access to that route. So that's basically private routing, and public routing is basically anybody can access. So let me just like I already have code. So because Rahul already did the setup for you guys, then I just have a code that we built at the time of preparing this one. So let me just quickly start my server. Just let me start my another server. Okay. And like just will get it here. So basically this is a like kind of a public route, and what we are doing here, we don't have any kind of a cookies here and any session here. How can we identify we like in the request header basically what is cookies? Cookies are like basically some kind of a data that you have on your client's browser, and what is session you have on your server side. So basically from the cookies you will identify the user, and based on that you will identify the user and you will give the access. So basically in this tutorial we'll be talking about the password based authentication and basically cookies. Then these are the cookies, so basically a small piece of data that would be on user browser, and how would we set the cookies. So this is like a very simple method that would be used over across the technologies. How can you set that cookies? You will see this one in React also, you have seen in the old ways also. So that's how we can set the cookies. Okay, so now I'll just talk about that question that one person asked. Okay, so we don't have cookies here. So and then this is a public route. I don't have any authentication. You can just see this one. You will get the data, and then I have another route, and we have a authentication here. So we won't give any access to users. So you don't have any access. You need to log in first, and then we'll go to the login route. Okay, and so this is the login route. So just like, okay, I'm not that great with designs. Okay, so guys, okay, as Rahul said, we are not designers. Okay, so I'll be like more talking about the Remix. So just ignore this one, this design. Okay, and then okay, so this is the authentication flow. And what is, so we'll start from the login, and user will submit the data, and based on that we'll validate. Okay, and validation already covered by Rahul, so we won't give much attention there. Okay, and then login type, and based on that, if user available, then it's basically based on password we'll create a user, and here exists, then we'll match the password. And so this is the important part in Remix. So that is like kind of a new one. And because I'll say that you guys already aware about this one. If you work on front end side, then you will know how would you authenticate any user in any language. So we'll be more focused on how will you create a session, or how will you create a cookie session for the user with the Remix. Okay, then I'll just will come here. And so Remix has very inbuilt lot of cookie sessions. And like in React, we don't have any cookie sessions, or okay, inbuilt cookie sessions, so you need to use some extra libraries. And Remix has this one, create cookie session storage. So basically this is a like kind of some function, and you can just use this cookie session storage. You can create your cookies, and it will be pushed to your client's browser or user browser. And if you want to use a memory session storage, that we won't be using in this lecture or tutorial, because we don't need this one. We just need the cookie session for the authentication, and memory session storage are big. So those are the things you can use it, and these are the things like Remix will provide. You can use like a Redis cache or some index DBs, those you can store for the session, and like external server you can use it. And these are like file session storage, and anyone can also create their custom session storage. So right into, we'll jump into the code, and okay, we'll just try to log in. Okay, and what will do that, so like suppose that you will just type Farhan and 1 2 3 4 5 6, and we just submitted. Okay, we'll just clear the here. Sorry, we'll start from the, okay, and let's suppose that one new 4 5 6, and we'll just submit. Login type is invalid. Okay, there is something going on. Let me just check it. So this is, okay, so user is already exist. So I'll just give this one UI, and let's try to jump in. Okay, so these are the validation that I was doing it. So password should, like username should be longer than this one. Okay,
Yeah, I think Farhan, it's calling the login API itself. So maybe if you have an old user, you can just log in directly, right?
yeah, let me just. Okay, let me just check my the password, and okay, I have a password called
Yeah, I think there's some DB reset issues. No issues, Farhan. I think you can continue.
cool. Just let me delete my DB. So what I'm doing, I'm using Prisma, and based on the Prisma, I have this. Sorry. So Prisma, I'm using SQLite. So in this file, I'll have all my data. So I'll just delete this one, and I'll start another. So I'm also using, let me just, um,
I think Farhan, there is like a default user. I think you have seeded in with Prisma, right? Can you go to seed on Prisma?
Yes. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
What I did, I'll just deleted that DB file, and okay.
By the
I'll
way,
just,
guys, if you wanted, like as Farhan is looking at this page, I just was giving some context on this. You can actually use this. This is a good reference for a very good. This is written by some of the best developers on the planet. So this whole the whole demo here is inspired heavily from the Jokes app, which is present on this. So definitely feel free to go ahead and check them out. They are really great group, right? So I think that's what Farhan is doing. He's just reconfiguring. And this is the thing with demos, guys. Everything works till the last minute and like something breaks. I think we all know this difficulty in production. Feel free to ask some questions, guys. I'll definitely answer. Meanwhile, Farhan is, yeah. I think
so
that's
now
it.
we have a login, and now we'll just like what do you say, just seed some data also, and just give me a second. I have a seed. So this is the, what do you say, this is the seed file that I've created. So basically I'll just run it, this seed file, and like just will run it, and you will have a data kind of a seed data. So I have some kind of a data, and then it will seed into the database, because I was like more talking about authentication. And just let me run this. Okay. And now it should log in. Okay, Rahul, I'll give you a screen sharing. Just give me a second. You just take a questions. Let me just fix this. Okay.
Farhan, you can actually find the seed in the file, the seed file. The password will be that. If you go to the seed file, the password is that Twix or
Twix rocks. But somehow this routing is failing.
No issues. Guys, if you have some questions, feel free. Farhan will figure out. I will share my screen till then. Okay, and definitely feel free to ask me any questions. So, okay, first question is, did you guys understand anything or some answer? Right? So, feel free to ask me questions on Remix. Yeah, so some people are asking me questions in private that I've now worked with a JS, what we say, DB. That's okay. The DB does not have to be specific to JS itself. The DB can be any DB. So, like in the example I showed above, you can actually make a normal request also. You don't even have to connect to a DB, right? You can actually make a normal. So if I go to my index, you can actually make a normal Axios response to any post, and it would still work, because that is essentially how the whole architecture is. So you don't really need to use Prisma. The reason we're using Prisma is for the sake of demo and to actually get some persistent data, because I'm using something called mock API, and mock API will not have persistent data in the DB. It's just a mock so that you can actually test before backend developers push APIs, right? So I think that should answer the question. Does anyone else have any other question? Okay, and so yeah, so let me also, meanwhile, while Farhan is figuring a few things out, let me actually open Remix Run and show you some of the features of why Remix is so cool. Okay, so obviously Farhan will go into more depth of why this happens, but then as you guys can see, just like they show in this page, sales is just a folder. Okay, and inside the sales folder there is a so if I had to make this exact same repo in mine, all I would have to do, okay, I've seen some question. Yeah, okay. So for example, what kind of con jobs are you mentioning? Dinesh, like what would be your context? Like where would you want to run a con job and how would you want to update it? So you basically, if for example, you can run a con job on, okay, I request us to put in everyone. Yeah, please. I think please put your questions in everyone so that everyone can see. So yeah, so con jobs can still keep working on whatever backend you choose to, right? So for example, whatever is your choice of running that, that's irrelevant to this. This is just the web API interface that actually communicates. Oh, I'm so sorry, my camera is not on. Okay. I forgot about that. Okay, this is just so if okay, let me actually give you some context of what is actually happening here. Okay, in terms of what Remix is really doing. Okay, so I have actually read through most of Remix documentation. So what Remix is doing is it has this node server running, okay, which is running Express on the backend. Okay. So you have this node running with Express on the back end. If I'm not wrong, con jobs are not usually run in Express. I don't know if there's a way, but then obviously I can Google search right now. And then the React part of the code is pushed to the client. Okay. So when the pages are rendered, so a page, for example, blog, okay, is rendered on the server and pushed down to the client. So this is your system. You're seeing the blogs page, right? So whenever you're fetching for data, what's actually happening is Node is rehydrating this with the data and using that use loader. Okay. Using that use loader to actually get that data into context. Okay. So that's what is actually happening. Okay. And that's how you are actually rendering this page. So usually what you would do is a similar architecture is, and now this node could be running in your entire backend job. You can have something that runs con jobs. Okay, you can have like a Django server running in the instance. Django server running in the instance, and you can just make internal APIs calls to them directly or an RPC call to them directly. So this is the architectural view of how Remix works, right? So, okay, I think someone has unmuted. Dinesh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul. Yeah, it's it's answered well. And one more question, like Rahul, how we can manage the is there any way we can manage the real-time communication between the this remix thing? Like suppose I want to
Between
do
what? Okay. Assume you can give me an example. So what would you want to do?
yeah, it's a one kind of a chat application where we can use the remix as a real
Oh,
time.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for example, a good way to use a chat application with Remix is assume you have a DB like, I forgot what it's called, Fireship.io. Assume you have a Fireship.io DB running in the instance, right? You can actually hook into all of the features that Fireship.io has and connect it through WebSocket. Okay. So you can have WebSocket code running on your, node side, which is just above. So there is this library called WS, which is used for WebSocket. Okay. And you can have an active WebSocket connection to the server. In this case, could be any server, right? That allows for real-time quick data management. Or so in this case, I was giving an example of Farhan, I think you're not on mute. Yeah. So as I was saying, right? So for example, Fireship.io, Fireship, right? Fireship is really good to get chat data in because it's very fast, very fast, and it scales reasonably well. So you can have a WS, that is WebSocket connection, directly to the Fireship code base and just use the loader and update it every time when the function runs. Just have a listener. I mean, does that make sense?
Yes, Rahul. That makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. So like it's actually very easy. Like I'm not even joking. To make a chat application to run in Remix would barely take half an hour. Like if you use Fireship also, I mean, like I think in the context of this whole demo itself, we can actually create a chat application. It's very easy. I might even send you links. So in terms of cron jobs, you can run it on whatever native cron job application you're using, right? So like I'm not like extensively into backend. Okay, so is there any other questions? Yeah. Okay, thank you for that question, Ganesh. So like, what is your applicational use case? What is the current stack you're using, and how do you usually manage it? So like, based on that, I can maybe give you a little more input. Hello. I think Dinesh is speaking on mute. Yeah.
No, Rahul. Yeah, I just put question based on like some of my question, not like my current application.
Okay. Cool. Makes sense. No, you can do it very easily. Like it's so for example, you can use WebSocket. You can use anything that actually keeps the connection open for real-time data to pass in. So usually how WebSocket works is as soon as a message is received from some particular socket ID, and it would be ridiculously fast also. So assume your message had a lot of complicated things, and you just wanted to take the message down. So you could run WebSocket on the top of this, and then on the receive of message, you can actually have the loader send message to your client, and then use loader and just print out the text that has come.
Thanks, Rahul. I got it.
So that's that. Okay, so that's that. Anything else? Let me actually go through any other questions that people might have.
So one question is related to client local storage. If Monu, if you can explore that, that will be great.
Yeah. What is the question actually?
Actually, that's why I'm asking, like, if he can explore the question.
Okay, please. Now, if no one has questions specifically to this, I can actually move forward about the whole architecture and like what is so fascinating about this, right? So as I mentioned, to create these routes, all I need to write is like packages and like cascading packages. So this is an example of the dollar order ID, and is actually I'm just displaying it inside. Like this is just stylized same thing that I just did. So if you look at the example, I actually made a blog, actually made like new, and like I also made like a number, which is a blog ID, right? Now let's also see other things. So this is how normal React applications works. Okay? So your document loads in first. Okay? That is the document in your public repository when you use npx create React app. Okay, the document loads in, and after the document loads in, there is a good amount of chunk of time when actually the JavaScript loads in. In this case, what happens is, because all of the JSs are separated and bundling is done well, and JS does not really even need to render, you have crazy speeds, right? So in this case, what has happened is, first of all of these happen in parallel in Remix. In this case, it's all what we say not in parallel. You have different JSs loading at different times. Okay? And you have the whole page loading far quicker in Remix, and thus this reduces the first contentful load page time, which is a very important thing when it comes to that, right? Okay. Now, what else would I like to explore? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The user can start working with the data almost immediately. Okay? And this was the example of form I was giving. Form just has a normal. This is not like a normal form, like form with post. Okay? What's actually happening is, form actually sends a request and it instantaneously gets that request right there because the code is located right up there, right? Now, another interesting thing which Farhan might cover. Okay, so this is something you guys have already seen. Okay? Assume you have this big component mounted. Okay? And for some reason in runtime, okay, I think there are some questions. Let me just check the chat. Yeah, Remix is far faster than React. Like if you just use React is very slow. Remix is like a crazy amount of times faster than React. Okay, so as I was saying, another alternative to this is Next itself, which is actually very nice. Okay, so what actually usually happens is, whenever you see a page break, okay, usually when you see a page break, what actually happens is, in React, if you have noticed, even if you put error boundaries, it will just break the whole React application and say something wrong happened. And you usually see on pages where something wrong happened, the whole page goes black and says something wrong happened. But the beauty of how Remix works is, you can have route-wise, route-wise error boundaries. So if something breaks only in this part of your route, which is the ID, maybe the API did not fetch data, maybe the database was down, the users can still keep using the rest of the page, and only that small part will actually break. And that works on every level, right? The nav bar still works, even though this is broken. It's hard to do on normal React, but it's ridiculously easy to do in Remix. Okay. Farhan, I think we can skip the authentication part. We'll actually proceed with the next. Maybe you can cover.
Yeah, Farhan's DV was broken, so he can proceed with whatever he have other than the DV stuff. Sorry, guys, for this.
Cool. Let me just share my screen and I'll start. So what basically happened, I was using SQLite and somehow it got broke and I'm not able to I'm not able to kind of get the data. So what I'll do that I'll show you guys how can we do that. Like I'll want authenticate while if you are getting any data. So suppose that I was using this. So when I'll just talk about the private that guy he asked. So what I was doing, I was getting the user from the session ID and I was throwing this error if we don't get the user. And then basically what will happen based on that reports, we'll get the reports. But here we don't have that because we don't have any data into the DB. So we'll just okay, just show this one. And what happened, let me just share my screen and just okay. So how can we create the cookie session? So basically we have this function called create cookie session. So whenever if any user is getting logged in and if any user getting registered, so what we'll call it, we'll call this storage, and based on that we have different function that we can define here, like create user session, and based on that so we can use this specific function. And so Remix has this get session. Okay, get session. So you will have session in your browser. From there you can get the sessions, and from there you will have session, and you can like basically simply you can use your user ID and you can just commit the session. Then you will able to see this data in your browser, and you'll see that your cookie will be set on your browser. Okay, so this is the thing. So that's how like kind of a Remix works, and this is how you can set the cookies. And other than this one, suppose that like I was having this login form, and like whenever user will register, okay, user will register, then will be like creating a user session. Okay, if we don't create a user session here, then what will happen, you will have only or you will not have any session on your client side. And what will you see, like there will be no user ID, and you won't be allowed, okay, you won't be allowed to like log in into our application. And so this is the create user session, and basically here you can commit it. And like, so I'll more talk about this create cookie session storage. So basically, if you want to create a cookie on client side, then you have to pass these parameters. So these are the names. It should be secure. Okay, so for production it should be secure. The secrets. Okay, you need to pass some kind of a secrets. Okay, then it should be on environment, on like whatever environment file you have it, like you. So Remix already like have a support of .env, and .env some kind of a library, you can use that. Or otherwise Remix has this env file. Okay, so here like you can just import this secret like that, and you can secret could be like what could be anything, kind of like like nothing, you can just keep it like nothing. But for more secure app, you should have like a one liner or something. Okay, this should be secret, and then the cookie will be created and it will be imported from there. Okay, from the session secret. Okay, so that's pretty cool. You don't have to define any extra environment or any extra file. It would be like all supported by Remix. Okay, and then you need to pass these data. You have to pass maximum is when it will live on your client's browser, and it should be only HTTP. So these are the things you need to pass. And whenever your user is getting created, then this session would be created on your browser. I would have shown you, but like somehow this got broke. And otherwise, like it would be okay. And even I can do one thing. Okay, so I don't have to create a user here. Like while registering, I don't have to create a user here. I can just okay, and so this would be user ID. So like this would be fake something. Okay, we can just add this one and try to log in.
So I think what Farhan is trying to get at is like, even if, for example, you don't necessarily even have to have private routes per se. If you have the cookie stored, then Remix understands that the cookies have been stored and authenticates it, because Remix also runs the backend and it will conditionally render the routes. Right. So, for example, if it does not find that the user is logged in, it will just route back to and have a redirect to the home route, so that you do registration. So it's very easy, right? You remove all of the complexity that was there with a React router and stuff like that, of creating private routes and stuff like that, and make it more simplified, make it more closer to how normal JS works, conditions, right? So I think that should give a good answer to that question.
Yep. So you will see some cookies set here and on your local host. And then whenever we will be like here, there will be another header called set cookie, and you will have this session. Like right now we have this RJ session that we have created from here, and like that we were having on our file. So this is the RJ session, and we have passed a couple of parameters, so it will be all encrypted here, and this would be session. So and then whenever user try to logged in, then what we'll do that we can use the user ID, we can get the user, and from the user ID from where we will get it. So you like Remix has these functions, right? Already defined functions. So get user session, and from here you will get the session, and from here you can get the user ID. So like pretty cool. It's a very easy way. So you can start doing that, and basically. And you can just get the user ID and you can start using it. You can add these authentication, or you can just get the user ID. What I was doing initial, in the loader file that Rahul already explained, like how the loader works. So I was getting the user from here, and then I was throwing the error. And so based on that, and if there is a no error, then I was processing with the data. And so somehow this DB reports find menu doesn't work because I was using SQLite. So that's okay. That's happens sometime. And then I'll proceed with the next slide. Error handling. So error handling in Remix is very kind of stellar. Okay. And if we talk about the React, we also have in React 16 they have introduced error boundaries. And what are the error boundaries? Basically, error boundaries. If you want to get the error and you want to display in the specific component, then you have error boundary component. You have to import that error boundary component, and you have to wrap it up to that component, and you will get the data. But Remix doesn't have this one. Remix has couple of error boundaries and catch boundaries. Catch boundaries function already like what is kind of exported, and that it will already like it will done for you. It will catch the data. I'll show you the demo. Okay. And like it will also catch the server errors. So we get the errors in servers, we get error in action and loaders. It will automatically catch in what do you say in error boundaries. So I'll just go ahead and I'll show you the demo, guys. Okay, and now we won't do any DB query. We'll just return some kind of a data. And okay, and we'll just here we can do that like in the reports, and this will be user. Okay, just give me a second. So we'll have user here. Like I was just passing username, like just say Farhan. And in reports, we have a reports array. And reports array, I was using Jira IDs. So these are the like some variables that I've defined. Okay, and like 1, 2, 3, and like Jira context. Okay, context.
So for some context, what Farhan is trying to do is right now, instead of having the DB connected, he's just passing a normal array, just like you would do in normal JavaScript.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So and like try catch. Yeah, try catch is there. Like it's similar to try catch, right? And
so
error bound. Yeah, go on, Farhan, please.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this error boundaries. So this function is all like you need to export it, and if there is any kind of unexpected error, so error boundary will automatically catch it, and it will show you however you want to show you. You can add couple of HTML and couple of CSS. You can add it here, and it will display for you guys. So you don't have to basically handle it externally like we do in our other projects or other languages. You have to write a kind of like kind of library to handle your error. You have to use like use context and all to display your error into your homepage and all. So like Remix gives us like very a good way to handle your error. And here we have a catch boundary. So catch boundary is basically if you have any kind of a expected error, right? You know the status, you know the error, so you can handle it here, and it will automatically catch by the catch boundaries. So these two functions, it should be imported. And yep, let get the example. And
so yeah, meanwhile, while Farhan is explaining the example, as I showed in the page also of Remix Run, the thing is all of these error boundaries and like the usual error boundaries you would find in React is defined right on the route. Okay, so if something breaks on that route, then only that particular route's error will be shown, and the rest of the application still keeps working, right? For example, the rest of the application in context is like maybe you have a nav bar which actually is critical for navigation, and something broke because someone put something on the backend, right? So I think Farhan is already displaying it, but that's the beauty of the error cache function and the functions that Remix provide, because it's all route based, right? So as you can see here, when he scrolls down, we will reach a point.
Yeah. Suppose that if there's an error in this component, so what it will be, it will show it here, and your whole page won't block it. Okay, so if like it used to happen like this, suppose that in React application app there's an error comes, then it would be like full displayed on page. But in Remix, what it will be, if there is a error in this component with the error boundaries and catch boundaries, you can just like catch the error, and then you can display it here, and the rest of the data will work like that. If there's an error on the cell space, so it will be catched by error boundary you have added in the cell space, and it will be shown like this. So let me just go ahead and suppose that here we are just, so this is the reports route, and we are just getting the report for user, and this is the data that we are passing it. And like suppose that instead of that we will just throw in error. Okay, so this is the error. Okay, so this is the error, and we know the status, right? 401 status. Then it will automatically catch by the catch
Yeah.
boundary. And yep, see, so this is the error. We are just passing. We know the status 401. Then what I did, I have handled it here. If status is 401, then I have to display something like this. So it will be already catched by the catch boundaries. Okay, and like suppose that if there is a some error that you don't know like what is the status and all. Suppose that if I'm trying to call some kind of a function that we don't define, and what will happen. Okay, sorry, uh, let me just
Yes, maybe you
remove
can
this
remove
one
the
quickly.
response.
Yep, yep. So now what is happening? So it will give us some unexpected error because you don't have defined this function, and what it will be like cached by this error boundary. And like you can just pass a error also here. You can pass a error, and you can like error will have three things. So you have stack, you have name, you can print the message also, and it will just show that arrays is not defined. You need to define that. So it's a pretty cool with the Remix, right? You can like particularly handle any error in different app that I've shown here. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide. And what is this SEO with the meta tags? So like in server side rendering, or in server side rendering application, we have this cool thing, like these are like very SEO friendly. Okay, so Remix also came with the cool thing. So Remix has some kind of a meta function, and meta function you can particularly add into the different routes, and based on that it will what do you say, optimize your it will just like add a title and description to the your route file. Okay, let me just quickly explain this one. uh, Suppose that we have this one, and I'll just remove these things. Okay, sorry for this, guys. Okay, now we don't have any error. And what Remix gives us very inbuilt meta function. What you can do, that you can export it to any index route or any route, and then you can just return any title, any description. Suppose that it gives you a lot of keywords also. You can just add a keywords here, and based on that it will, what do you say, so Azure, like you guys know, like Azures are very cool to optimize your website. And it is the way how can your website reach to the user on the Google. And Google has a lot of things. It has like a couple of rules defined. Based on that, it will your website will reach to the user. So like I'm passing this title and description, and what it will do, it will show to your so here you can just see that I'm doing this for SEO with the meta tags, and you can add the description, and it is very cool. uh, it will, you can pass a couple of keywords also here. And Rahul already explained what we need to do, that we need to add this meta. So meta would be exported from all the index file, and it would be like added here by Remix. Okay, if you don't add it here because you are not passing this meta tags in your head, then it would be like whatever title you have given to your like this title, whatever title you have given to your application. So you need to add this one because all the data we are all the HTML we are displaying it should be in those HTML tags. Okay, so you need to add this meta tag. So this is like inbuilt from the Remix. And suppose that if you want to add this specific meta function to like any other function, and you can just export it. Okay, you can just export it like this. Give me a second. Okay, you can export this meta, not here. What else? Okay, you can add this export to any meta function, and these are just TypeScript error. Let me just and okay, yeah, SU1 index space. Yep, and you can add this description. Yeah, so make money like this. Okay, and if you go here, okay, let me just yeah. So as you on index page, you guys can see the title came here, and with the title, we have added the description to this. So this is very like pretty cool. You can just use a meta tags and meta function imported to this, and it will automatically will do for you. And it's very easy. In other function, in other thing, you have to use a lot of external library. You have to do a lot of things. But here you can just like export meta tags, add keywords and all. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. And so resource routing is like basically routing that we like other than the TSX file. So what it would be like, suppose that we have some kind of RSS feed. So what you need to do that. So before that, there's a dot, right? You need to escape that, and this is the way you can escape that. And like, let me just, I think hopefully it should work now. Reports.rss. Yep. Yeah. So it will give you the whole content of that page. Other than like TSX file, if you want to route any other file, you need to escape this dot here. So like this, you can define file here. Like I've given this screenshot. You can just do that, and even I can show you guys how can you do that. So this is the reports file, and with the dot, you can skip that and just like, okay, so we'll move to the next slide. I guess Rahul is already like talk about this one, but again, like just give me a second. I'll let you guys know what is this. So basically, like there's a thing. So okay, what's happening here? Our application is loading without JS, right? It's pretty cool, right? And it would be faster if you compare it. If you will load JS, and if you load application without JS, it would be pretty faster. If you can see here, this number would be changed. And if like suppose that, so Remix has very cool way. You can basically add script here, and now you will see your JS file is loading. But we don't need this. We don't need this. We need it like for some pages. Then we can basically add this script tag into the body or in the HTML, and it will load all the JS file. And suppose that we don't need JS, okay, we don't need JS, then it won't load the JS, and your application would be faster. Because we have seen in a lot of scenarios there, your network is very slow, and you try to download the JS, and it would be always like loading and loading and loading, and it won't show you data. So I'll just show you one example from the Remix run, how it will happen in other like typical okay. So if suppose that if you are loading JS, and this will it will but with the Remix, you don't have to do that, because it's directly will load it, and you don't need JS for lot of the component. Why? Because it's a very because it depends upon like very old way, right? You don't need on change hooks, on submit hooks, right? Those function you don't use it, right? You have some actions and loaders, and like let me just skip a second. Suppose that this is the create one, right? And you don't need this one. Okay, so on the submit button, what will happen? It will hit this action, and you will just like whatever you want to do here, you can do that. So you don't need. So this is like a server side code, but you can just based on the actions. Okay, and you are not using any on change on submit, so you don't need any JavaScript. Okay, so that's particularly makes it very cool. You don't need any JavaScript, and you will just like load it like this. And if particularly if you want to load JavaScript to any, if you need that, then you can just add a script tag like this. Okay, and it will load JavaScript to the specific pages and all. Okay, like this. Yep. So with this one, I guess we are near to end this tutorial. Okay, so now we can start taking questions and all. Hello.
Yeah, guys, please feel free to ask questions. And in between, I think I had a small map, I think in front of everyone. Apart from that, I think you can stop sharing a screen, Farhan. I don't think there's nothing to be shown on the screen per se. Farhan, I think Farhan is hung. Okay, so yeah, again, thank you guys. Thank you everyone who did join. If you guys have some questions, feel free.
That's
I understand. Yeah,
Yep.
I understand.
We can take a question. Okay, and we can start.
Yeah. Other than questions, I have a request to everyone that please submit the feedback form. We are also going to place the same on Meetup page so that it will help us to improve what topics you are looking for the next and many more things. So it will help us. Please, any type of feedback, no matter positive or negative, we are happy to accept it.
Yes, great.
Yeah, guys, like there are so many topics, and I think we have an amazing team. So, like there are there's so much variety in Talentica. So, feel free. The session is trust me, 2 hours is very small to explain the depth of what Remix has achieved. It's crazy. I myself have gone through most of the code implementation in the backend. It's pretty brilliant. I think what some people are mentioning is key, how to do, some form of ORM in JS, object relational mapping. So the best way to find is just read through the Prisma doc. Prisma is a really good ORM when it comes to JS. So maybe we can take a session on Prisma and how fun Prisma can be, right? So so Prisma again connects with any form of DB you like, Mongo on the backend, whatever kind of backend frameworks you prefer. And again, thanks for coming. I and Farhan had a great time. Sorry if I look very sleepy. I woke up very early. I slept very late. Anyway, have a fun time, guys. I think Farhan, you can stop recording if no one has questions. Guys, no one has questions. We can just maybe close the session then. I don't want to take too much of your time. It's a weekend.
Yeah. Just give me a second. Okay. I'll stop recording it. Yep.